All right, should be live. Let me make sure here in a second. Maybe. There we go. Awesome. 13 love, 13 knowledge, 13 wisdom, 13 respect. This is your creation 13. I just want to go live today. There's just a lot of interesting things that I really noticed in in my everyday life, today, and it just with everything that's been going on, like in the world, um, me personally, and just observing all of this selective programming, selective confusion. That's really what we're looking at, a selective confusion. Um, we got to be able to get to a point where we have a stable foundation in what we do as individuals. I've learned over time that it's your personal journey. It's your personal journey. And ultimately, um, you have to break out of the programming um, of this realm, out of the programming of this realm, of this reality, whatever this reality may be, or what we interpret. There's a lot of weird rabbit holes that you can go down that I've noticed within this plane, right? We've noticed it's a school. We've noticed it's a stage of learning, um, a stage of battling the mind, a stage of how's it going, Alexis? It's a battle of the mind. It's um, an exchange of dialogue, exchange of energy, synergy. It's a weird realm we live in. It's a weird realm. And really, when you just step back, observe reality, and watch what happens, right? Turn your mind off and watch what happens. See how people's minds act in reality, right? I'm a deep thinker. If you guys have been watching me for as long as I've had YouTube, um, you know that to be the case. And I really feel that you got to have people like myself to help you dig deeper into things. Like life is crazy, life is chaotic. People are easily influenced to not think for themselves, but to migrate into a group or migrate into um, a religion, I guess. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, somebody is in some kind of religion. It's not just about God and angels and demons and Jesus and things. A religion is a culture, or it is can be an addiction. So even say playing video games, that's going to be your religion. That's all you do all day long. That's your religious uh, choice, your ritual that you're going to do every day. So that's your religion, and it's very interesting. But today, I noticed that people like to down themselves a lot. People like to say they're dumb, uh, that they're very limited. I've learned that. I've been talking about this for a long time, especially in the religious realm. They teach you to be weak minded and that your life doesn't matter, right? There's no meaning to your life, but it's all about the glory of God, right? This is a quote that I wrote, or not wrote, but read. It's all about the glory of God. Well, what is that, right? If it's all about if it's all about the glory of God, well, you have to define that. And as with my last presentation, we look at the Word is God and God is the Word. Well, when you look up the root word for words, it means a reason or a plan. So there is a plan and there's a reason. And what is God? Well, God is an earlier version to Godin and then Elohim. It goes back to creation at the end of the day. Creation has a plan and creation has a reason, right? There's a reason for creation. There's a reason for choices. There's a reason that things happen, but there's also a reason for corruption, a reason of the mind wrestling with itself, right? Just like Jacob. Jacob wrestled with God, right? That's what we're dealing with. Jacob's ladder it's your spine. It's going up and down your spine. Wrestling up here, we're wrestling with creation. We don't understand the plan. We don't understand the reason. We don't understand the reason or plan of why we're here and what we're doing. We see in awakening, right, we're breaking out of the programs, right? We're seeing programs. Just like when people keep downing themselves, saying that they're stupid, and they create a scenario of misery loves company. I was around this myself. Misery loves company. People who have had bad experiences or things of that nature, they feel that they have to use the emotions to create friendships, or they feel they have to create. Hey, how's it going? Zimbob. That is the word of the day right there. Don't mean to make fun of your name, but Zimbob, that is the word of the day right there. Just started watching you love your work. Just wondering what's up with the head covering. It's a turban. It goes into the category of the Hebrew Israelites, and then you go further back, right? It's bringing back the ancient ancestors' way of living, which is so very important, and which is why I make YouTube videos, because we're going back to the ancient ways. And what does that look like, right? What does the ancient ways look like, right? What is the plan? What is the reason to go back to the ancient ways? What does that look like? Well, it's all about the glory of God. Well, we're here in the physical, right? We're here in the physical. We have a soul, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. We're trying to figure out what is real or what's truth. My quote is that there's really no truth, but there is discovery. We discover things every day, right? Just like today. Just studying on how people can down themselves. Relatability, right? Relatability for trying to create friendships, right? I think this is probably one of the things that I've continuously learned about myself, is that when you speak about discoveries, when you are authentic 100%, and you don't know everybody, right? You don't know me personally, but when you are 100% authentic, trying to take care of yourself, better yourself, work out, eat right, do the best you can, help people be the best versions of them, you're going to have less friends. You are going to have less friends, if any, no friends at all. Why? Because people don't want to create a high standard for themselves. People don't want to succeed in life. They don't. They want to not succeed. A form of being lazy, because that's the culture that we live in, right? Especially in America. Oh, wow. Hey, how's it going, Richie? That's the standards that people have created for themselves. And it's because of the state of confusion. It's because of a lack of love and attention. It's because everybody is so focused on a story or a book, the glory of God, right? That there's no glory for you. There's no honoring you, right? And I feel the majority of humanity don't even know how to honor. And the proof is, humanity doesn't know how to honor nature or get out into nature. Understand the sun, understand the moon, understand the stars, understand the four seasons, understand how spirits work, understand how realms work, right? Understanding this stuff. You ain't going to understand this stuff, right? Understand this stuff unless you discover it. You could pick up books and read books all day long, right? It makes you think, it makes you wonder, right? It makes you look for signs and wonders. But it doesn't, if you're not allowing yourself to succeed or elevate yourself, you're just reading a book, right? You're just reading a book at the end of the day. And that's why it's so important, just like with my research, is digging deeper into what people are researching, right? I was born and raised in a Christian home. That Bible has always been like a focus point, like it's always been a big part of my life. I've always desired to study it. I never viewed it as as God's word, right? That's what we're taught. This is God's word, or God's plan, or God's reason, right? It was a book of decoding. Like at an early age, as a child, I'm like, I want to decode this. Revelations, I want to decode that. What was Christ talking about and teaching his disciples? I want to decode that. I want to be that, right? I don't want to be these people who act stupid and very selective, and they don't love each other. They don't care about each other. They don't care about nature. They don't care about the ancient ancestors. They don't understand. They don't understand until you discover, until you have an encounter. And unless if you're very open-minded, you're going to have an encounter, and based on your culture and your religion, it's going to alter or try to reprogram what you know. It's going to try to reprogram in a way that's going to scare you. It's going to spread fear into your life because you don't understand. And you're going to go back into your old routines because you got scared. I got scared. When I had my awakening, man, I got scared all the time. I thought I was being deceived. I thought I was being led by demons, right? Going down these weird rabbit holes. But it was because I was learning how to reprogram my mind. I was learning how to heal wounds within my life, learning why things were the way they were, still learning why things are the way they are, and learning how to create the best version of myself, elevate myself, right? Because we're learning to be something more, right? You can follow a book and a program, like I've been talking about. I know it's a broken record. You can follow a book and program all day long, but if you're not learning and discovering new things to elevate yourself, you're stuck in a game. You're a CPU. You're a side character that can get lost in the game, right? It's just like the movie The Matrix. I love the Matrix movies because it tells you that there is layers in this matrix, what that looks like, how that looks like, right? Just real simple things from you not really bending the spoon, or what you think food tastes like. Little things that allow you to pay attention. Be like, when's the last time you paid attention to the taste or flavor of food? You could have the same French fries, but they're made differently, so they all taste different. You're going to be very selective on each one. You're going to be like, oh man, plate 15 tasted amazing, but plate 12 tasted like crap. But they're all made from potatoes, but it's because of the programming of each French fry plate created your experience, your wow factor. You were indulged in French fries, going, wow, that was the best French fries I ever had, or man, that was crappy French fries. But you break it all down, they're just potatoes at the end of the day. It's just how they were prepared. And that is ultimately what we're looking at. Programs that have been prepared to either distract you, a lot of the times distract you, and keep you from elevating yourselves, becoming something more than what you've been taught, right? More than what you've been taught. How's it going, Christopher? I just made French fries tonight. And the hamburger grease from the burgers I made. Yeah. See, there you go. Synchronicity right there. That could have been just for you, Christopher. Which plate of French fries is the ultimate experience you had? Be like, man, that was the best French fries I ever had, right? So it's just paying attention to all of these things and making the best out of it. Now, I've been talking about the glory, uplifting yourself, but you got to also realize that you're living with other people, right? I have a family, so my wife is different, my kids are different, and they have different experiences. And it's hard because as you share the same household, you are experiencing life differently. Because I know how I think, I know what to expect, but I don't know how my wife thinks. I don't know how my kids think 100%. I don't know the wrestling that goes on in their minds. Just as we go out into the world and we don't know what's going on with your friends' minds, with your workers' minds, with bosses and businesses, right? We don't know what's going on with them individually. So as we don't know, or we assume we know what's going on, we really don't. People could be suffering, people could be hurting, people could be wrestling. But all we can do is elevate ourselves and show people that there's different ways to live in life, right? And that also goes into the elements of, like I said, ETs and souls, right? Ultimately, there is a spiritual battle that's taking place, right? It's all through the Bible. Like, the more you do research on the Bible and the root words of things, it tells you that humanity has been wrestling with spirits, with myths, with ghosts, hiss. So snake in Genesis is translated as hiss. So what is a hiss? A hiss would be like some kind of whisper or a blowing of the wind, a hissing sound. So when people were translating, they were like, oh, a hissing sound? Oh, that must be a snake. So that word snake is not there. It is translated as hiss. And I don't have the root. I could probably find the root real quick. I'm trying to make this quick here. Let's see here. Let me go back to Genesis. Believe somewhere in here. There we go, the serpent right there. Alright, so it's Nakesh. I believe it's Nakesh, which means hiss, a hissing sound, a wind, something that blows, that whispers in your ear. I found that very interesting, and at the end of the day, That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with spirits that influence us, that wrestle with our minds, right? Just like in Jacob's ladder, wrestling with, it said God, but wrestling with the spirits, right? Of what to do, how to act, how to present. Are we going to be of a lower state? Are we going to be at a higher state? Are we going to call ourselves stupid all the time? Are we going to glorify ourselves? Say, hey, life is good. I got an awesome house. I got a job, paying my bills, things of that nature, right? Um, Giving yourself a pat on the back, say, hey, I did it. I accomplished this stuff, right? Um, when you fall into that religious realm, again, um, you give all your energy to oh, hey, God help me with this, hey, God help me with that. That's okay. It's a program, but eventually you're going to have to turn that and go, hey, I'm the one that's in this suit. I walk to work, or I drive to work every day. I put in my 8 hours in. um, and then when you get off work, then you deal with life, you help friends out, you may have a wife or a husband, things of that nature. You're doing all the work constantly. You have to give yourself credit of like, oh, hey, I survived this day. Hey, this is what happened today. This is what happened today. Hey, good job, right? Good job. Um, we have to elevate ourselves, and we have to help elevate people, right? Because people are giving their energy away everywhere, right? And I'm not here for you to agree with me, but it's just, it's understanding that you're a beautiful person that needs, that you can uplift yourself. You can say, oh, hey, good job today, right? I made it through today. But at the end of the day, I want to talk about ETs and souls real quick, because that's ultimately what we're dealing with. And um, and the influence behind it. Like, there is some weird stuff that I'm just really noticing, right? During this summertime and this fall time, I really spent time in nature, studying, relaxing out in nature, getting sun, observing nature, and realizing, that nature's alive in the daytime. There is elementals, right, that live within the trees, that jump around trees, right? We got birds and squirrels. We got a lot of stuff going on in nature, right? There's a whole realm just in the sun, right? For those who walk with the sun, right? Like me, I would be considered one who walks with the sun, because that's where I get the most energy. Um, I just feel amazing during the springtime, the summertime, and the fall time. I feel amazing because I am one that walks with the sun, right? Identifying that I am one that walks with the sun. But there's also people who walk with the moon, who walk with the darkness. Whole different atmosphere. And it's an atmosphere that I've studied a lot. And error to me, because I've studied more of I'm the walker of sun, right? I walk with the sun, but I've studied more about the moon and the darkness and the realms within there, because we deal with shadow creatures, we deal with shadow protectors. That's a big one, because I live in cursed land, but there's also shadow protectors that protect land or protect families. But there's a lot of weird stuff that happen at night. Soul exchanges happen during the nighttime as well. I've noticed that. A soul exchange, right? Where spirits mingle and transition. And then they come and visit you at night when you're sleeping, right? When you're most vulnerable is when you're asleep. So then these spirits, these mists, these hissing um, spirits can come and mingle within your life, and you wouldn't even know it. You can notice it sometimes when you're sleeping and you're dreaming. Remember your dreams, right? I've noticed this a lot in my dreams, is that I'm an observer in my dreams. Basically, it looks like I'm watching a video, but I notice the characters in my dreams, they'll try to get me to interact in part of the program, right? A dream is a program of some kind. Like you're interacting in this dream, and when you don't interact a certain way, the characters in the dream look at you weird. They look at you funny. They're like, he's not following the programs. Like, does he know who we are? That's the message I get from these characters in my dreams. Does he know who we are? Does he know we're messing with him? Does he know that we're trying to manipulate him? Does he know what's going on? Can he see through these physical suits that we're wearing? Can he see through that? Right? It generates that, and I always think of that every time I wake up. I'm like, man, what were those entities that were dressed in these physical forms in my dreams, right? And the same way going out to reality. You really don't know if you're talking to a real person or if you're talking to a spirit that's consumed somebody. At the end of the day, and that's what I'm studying, right? That's what I'm studying. I'm trying to break it down to a T. I want to be that game master. I want to, right? I want to master the game. I want to master this game, this matrix. I want to know exactly how it works and how it functions. And if you've been watching my channel, you will see I've been trying to figure it out. And it's cutting it to the bare bones, right? It's cutting it to the bare bones. Realizing that these entities or these spirits have been trying to make sure that we limit ourselves. We think we're stupid, and that we can't glorify ourselves, right? And that's ultimately what a lot of people are seeing right now, thank goodness, is that we're trying to be self-sufficient, and they're trying to take that away from us. They're trying to take away our self-sufficiency, of not depending on them anymore, so we can depend on ourselves and we can depend on helping others, right? I refuse to accept that humans are animals, right? Humans are animals at the end of the day. There's something else that is making these people do horrible things. There's something else motivating these people. It's not them. But you got to also go into how souls work. It's in the Bible, man. It just astonishes me how souls work and how they migrate, because there's different souls that come to this plane. From my understanding, right? From my understanding, there's souls that come from the stars, right? Souls that come through the Milky Way. So each solar system has its own Milky Way. That Milky Way is a dimensional gateway to different dimensions. So each dimension, each solar system has a Milky Way, right? And if you look up the Milky Way, it is just like real life, right? Seeds, the semen, the sea, the Milky Way. It's the same thing. We're stars that are seeded into the solar system, and then we're planted into what's a planet look like? A planet is an egg, right? A planet is an egg. So our solar system is basically a universal womb. A universal womb. So we go through the Milky Way and we plant ourselves on a planet. We plant ourselves on a seed. You're never going to look at the stars and the planets the same way again if you think that way. But it's true. You get seeded on a planet. But that is if your soul has came from there. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because there's also souls that are already seated on the planet themselves that keep recycling over and over and over and over again. And these earth spirits Earth souls are ancient and they've lost their ways. They've come from the Milky Way at one point or another. They've come from the Milky Way at one point or another. But somewhere down the road, when they got planted on this reality got hacked, right? But Earth is really interesting, right? I've talked about this before because I've had lifetimes where I was an Arcturian. I've had a lot of lifetimes as a Lyran, cat being, which is why I got cat beings, Lionel from Thundercats on here because during my soul retrieval, learning more about myself, about my soul, I discovered that I love cats since I was little, right? There was a connection and it just kept building more and more. But when I was in Arcturian, it was a continuous cycle of very intelligent. Like Arcturians are very intelligent. They wanted to master everything. So they made everything the same. Everybody was the same. Everything was organic technology. They even had their babies made in tubes, and everything was perfection because you could make your baby that way. Oh, what are people trying to do now here on Earth, right? But what ended up happening is because it was too perfect, you would have different souls on Arcturian that wanted change. They wanted to be unique. They wanted to be outside the norm. They didn't want to be all the same. So they created this uniqueness. So Arcturian went through this change, this shift. I was a part of that shift. And we created individuality again. But that also created chaos. It's such a weird thing because everything was harmonized, but it was mechanical. And then when you create your freedom or your individual nature, right, your plan or your creation, it creates a state of imbalance. So Arcturian went through this state of imbalance, right? And then people went to an age of bliss, and then it went right back to the same thing again, where it went back to everything was the same. So it was unique, very unique experience. And then we come to Earth right now, and it's just a mix of everything. Like, Earth is very unique. It's so many different flavors here that it's uncanny. Like, I've been told this is a prison planet, but I've also been told that this is a learning school. I believe it's a lot of different things all at the same time. Like I said, people are planted here. People are Earth souls that are so ancient they don't remember. So they have created this state of they've downloaded all the energies of the world over time, right? From a stage of bliss, say Atlantis and Lemuria, to a downgrading state where people were destroying themselves and hating themselves, right? It just created this consciousness stream in the ethers over and over again. And as these souls forgotten how to ascend or go back through the Milky Way, they lost themselves over time. So as they constantly got reincarnated through a woman's womb, right, they would experience life again and learn and change. But the spirits would mingle within the womb as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that because I'm going to be talking forever on that. Ultimately, at the end of the day, oh, let me read this real quick. Christopher says Isaiah 45, verse 7. Look it up. All spirits are of God. He controls us from two directions. But you got to look at something does control things. Say your body, for example, right? You have the seed, say you're a male, you have the seed to create life. And you have females that have the womb for the seed or the golem for the body to be created. So you are allowing spirits, you're allowing souls to be conceived into the physical reality. You are allowing it, right? Because you have the seed and the woman has the womb and the egg. We allow that to happen. This is why sex is sacred and not meant to be played with. It's not meant for luxury. It's meant to bring souls here. But since humans have lost and don't understand what that means, we got a mess. That's why we got a lot of chaotic physical beings here with souls that should not have gotten bodies. Pew. That can trigger a lot of people right there. There are souls that should not have bodies, but because of a lack of knowledge and wisdom on how sex works, and since people don't do it correctly, they get impregnated unplanned, so they bring souls into this reality, and it gets messy. It gets really messy. But hopefully over time we're going to learn why that is, right? I'm looking into right now how you're only supposed to get married to certain people, right? Because people were choosing, oh, you can only get married to this person. You can only get married to that person. I'm looking into that now. I don't agree with it, but I do feel that a lot of marriages that have been broken up is because of a lack of that. It's a lack of understanding where we are in the system. So say if we marry somebody that is compatible within the houses up in the sky, right? All the star constellations. Say that my neighbors up in the sky, right? All the star constellations, that was the correct neighbor to marry, then we should be more balanced, right? But there's also the total opposites. So you don't agree with the house over here, but you end up marrying into it, and it creates a state of chaos, which is very interesting. So I'm looking into that now, but there's so much research, it's endless. But it's just a lack of knowledge. We don't understand. All of this ancient stuff has been lost at the end of the day, to a point where or people just don't know how life works, don't know what it means to bring life into this world. Like even I didn't know, right? Before I had my spiritual awakening, bringing my kids into this world, I didn't know. You know, if I would have had my spiritual awakening and then brought my kids into this world, having this understanding could have had more of a different impact on their individuality, right? It's a possibility. Because your kids download where you were at in your life at that time. So say if you and your wife or husband were arguing during that time, they're going to download that. If you were depressed during that time, they're going to download that. If you're addicted to something at that time, your kids will download that. And that is going to be their generational curse that they're going to have to deal with, because you didn't have the knowledge and wisdom of and the responsibility of what it meant to bring a soul into this realm, and the 9 months that is very sacred for that child, because that child for 9 months is learning about the world in the womb, and it's already influenced in the womb, and it's not even out in the world yet. Blows my mind, and it's sad, but it's true. It's weird, man. It's weird. All right, let me read these, then I'll probably call it here. Let's see, Richie says designer genetics. Yes, that was talking about Arcturians. Um, Richie says best guess I got is a ranch, like a multi. Yeah, multi. Yeah, yeah. We live on ranches everywhere. Christopher, let's see. We need to talk offline, bro. You just touched on Psalms 82:6 and the sons of God that defiled themselves with women. Yep, there you go. It's all in the Bible, man. It'll blow your mind. Blow your mind. Zimbob, sometimes when you talk, I have no clue what you're talking about. That's okay. A lot of people don't. I should have paid attention in Sunday school. It's probably a good thing you didn't pay attention in Sunday school because they don't teach you this stuff. They don't. Alexis says, I think most marriages on earth are not ordained by God. Well, we have to look at that too. Like I said, it's not ordained by God at all because you're choosing, right? People come into your life for a reason. We don't know what those reasons are. I've heard there's soul contracts. So say people are born on this planet and we're destined, just like in a game, we're destined to meet somebody. I played video games. I love Final Fantasy. I love character development games. So you go into life, you meet people, right? They come into your life just random. And then you get to know them. Then you may get married, right? There is a high level technology that is playing in this, right? High level technology. It's not just a simple thing of like, oh, hey, God created this. Well, we're all part of creation, so we're all individuals, right? So we're all creating as well, and either you're going to be a CPU of the game or you're going to be a main character of the game, right? And we got to learn on how to work together with the stars, with the planets, with the spirits and the elementals that surround us. It's a very complex environment, and you can either be simplified to one thing that you understand, right? Because this could drive people nuts. Like I said, I'm a deep thinker. Don't ever allow me to change your viewpoint of things, and hopefully that's not why you watch me. But the whole point of me making videos is to help elevate something or thoughts that you may not have had, to observe your life and elevate it, right? Move on to the next level as well. So that's ultimately the goal for this. And I'm learning it too every day. Christopher says, the word is a son, the woman which is in us. All men even are like us when we were made in God's image or creation's image, right? The woman is the spirit and can be or become either a son or daughter. Well, the soul, the spirit, has no gender at all. A soul is just a collective, a ball of memories, right? Just like this experience that is very short. Your soul is going to harness memories. It's a memory capsule. And when you move, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. When you move from this vessel and your soul, your memory capsule, moves on to the next stream or next place you're supposed to go to, those memories remain. And when you go into the next life, the next realm, and you do a self-reflection and go back within and look at your soul, I can go back for whatever I go into for the next life. I can go back to my soul matrix and revisit Adam Starseed Bey and go, oh wow, who is this Adam Starseed Bey? Oh, he's from Earth. Man, Earth was such a weird planet, but let me see what's going on there. Let me see what he experienced. And that's what your soul is. It's a soul capsule. It's a memory capsule. That's all it is. it'll blow your mind. Blow your mind. Yeah. Let's see. Lexus, just something that Jesus said about what God puts together, let not man tear apart. Exactly, right? It's our soul is pure. Our soul is pure until you become part of the programs, right? Um, however, on the flip side of things, as I was stated before, man, I got to get out of here. As I stated before, if you came from the Milky Way galaxy and you're seated on a planet, right, your soul is pure. Your soul is pure because it went through the purification process, right? You went through fire. You went through the purification process. You were elevated. You graduated. Now, when you're seated on a planet, or you're born of the planet, you're an earth spirit, an earth soul, you're going to be totally different. You're going to be totally different. You're not going to understand how the higher realms work. You're not going to remember it because you're an earth soul, an earth spirit. And it gets so very interesting. It really does. So if you're from the Milky Way, yes, humanity, this earth that we're on right now, will tear you apart, will confuse you, will manipulate you, make you forget who you are. But if you're of the earth, then you're going to be of the earth. And I know that's a scripture. You're going to be a part of the world, right? You know nothing else but the ways of the world. You can't get outside that. And that's why it's so important from a, like, born and raised a Christian home. That's why Christ's message is so important, because Christ helps you, even if you're an earth soul, Christ helps you identify what it means to be an earth spirit and what it means to be of God, right? To be of God, to make it as simple as I can, to be of God, or be from the stars, to be from the stars. Because Christ was from the stars, and Christ was here to help humanity get out of the programs of this reality. Just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Christ walks you through chapter by chapter, scripture by scripture, of what not to do, of what to identify, what it means to be an earth spirit, and Christ helps you elevate yourself back to the Creator, back to God, back to heaven. Christ teaches you this stuff step by step through Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. From his birth to his death, he teaches you all of it. If you read anything in the Bible, you just read that alone, and Christ will walk you through step by step. Then you look up root words in those as well. You do deep studying on it, and it's going to blow your mind. Everything's going to be right in there, and you'll understand. It's very fascinating. So let's end this out here. Let's see. Christopher says, correct. We need both parts. The woman part completes our moral compass. The Eve is possible of and why she was deceived, but when Adam ate was when the eyes opened. And it's true. I mean, like I want knowledge and wisdom. If you don't have knowledge and wisdom, you're going to be stupid. You're not going to understand things, right? That never clicked with me. Like, even when I was a little kid, I'm like, okay, hold on here. So God didn't want us to have knowledge and wisdom. God didn't want us to think for ourselves. Like, I didn't understand what that meant when I was little, right? And then as you study more and more and more, you're like, wait a minute here. For those who lack knowledge and wisdom will perish. So For those who lack knowledge and wisdom will perish. But Adam and Eve were told, do not eat of the tree of good and evil. Don't eat from the tree of knowledge and wisdom. And yet it says later on, those who lack knowledge and wisdom shall perish. Food for thought there, to end this out, okay? Let's see, Chris says, you need to have the weaker vessel in order to love, as there is no mercy with God's law. The word cannot be changed or broken. It is eternal. And just look at that root word, this plan, reason. Love is already within us. We're taught to be broken, and we're taught to be weak. We're taught not to love our neighbors. We're taught not to love at all. You watch a child who has a good home, they're full of love, right? They're full of love. But the world breaks them, and they lose their first love, right? They lose their first love because they already had love, right? But they lose it over time. And that's why it's important to understand that we're looking for love. So if you've always been broken, you're looking for that love. You're looking to go back to that state of being a child, right? That's why it says that you need to have the mind of a child. You need to go back to being a child. You can become a child when you're 30, when you're 50, right? What does that look like? It's discovering love at the end of the day, becoming a child of love, right? You're learning how to love again. You're learning how to have fun and play, and enjoy nature. Enjoy being outside, right? Man, I gotta get out of here. Let's see, the USMC says my IQ is 178, and you are right. Most who think at my or our level typically are not humble, but it is more powerful to be weak than you are strong, like Paul said. It's just understanding. I mean, you don't want to be strong-willed. Some people are strong-willed, right? Even I'm strong-willed because, I have determination to continue on, right? I don't fall into my weaknesses. I identify my weaknesses, and at times I do have my states of crying and have my states of being vulnerable. And it's important to have those states of being vulnerable because we grow, we remember, we find love again. And that's why, Christ is my rock foundation, because I go back to that. When I'm vulnerable, I go back to Christ. I say, hey, I need help in this area, right? I go back to that. And that's how I identify through my weakest state. So then I dust myself off and learn again as well, right? So it's all just different stages, different levels at the end of the day. I got to go for real. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. Keep growing. Keep elevating yourself. Keep learning. Identify your reality outside and discover stuff within you, right? Learn how to heal yourself, fix yourself, and get to that state that you want to be at, right, at the end of the day. So thank you all for joining me. Love yourself, keep shining bright. I'll talk to you all later. As soon as I remember how to turn this off. It's been a while. All right, good night, guys.